Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today for our weekly SEDP update. We have a big turnout already. I'm pretty confident because we have our Senator Debbie Stabenow on. I want to thank her for the work she's doing for Shiawassee County in Washington, particularly the recent relief bill. There's a number of provisions in there that are very impactful. Particularly for small business, the PPP and some of the other things. So I wanted to be able to have the senator come on today and give an update to everybody about what's happening with the COVID relief package, and then certainly any other items that she would like to cover about Washington. And then we will have the opportunity for a very brief Q&A. I think we have until about 9:30. And before I turn it over to the senator, I do want to thank Spencer Verhagen. He is the senator's regional director. I am in very regular communication with him on issues. He's doing a great job. I know communicating Shiawassee County's needs to the senator. So I want to say thank you to Spencer for all that he does to represent us as well. So with that, Senator Stabenow, I'm going to turn the floor over to you to give an update from Washington and let us know what we need to know here in Shiawassee County.
Well, thanks, Justin. It's always great to be with you and with everybody. You know, I will just simply say, anybody wants to talk about what happened last week, certainly that was very concerning, happy to do it, but I'm going to proceed and just talk about moving forward right now. And before talking about what we did at the end of the year, a very positive next step in terms of COVID support, I also wanted to say that good news for us in Michigan is that I will be now returning as chair of the Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry Committee in the U.S. Senate, which, as you know, broadly covers all of rural development, every, small town support through rural development. I'm very focused on what we need to do, that where COVID has exposed the lack of high-speed internet all over Michigan, and what that is, how that's affected our kids' capacity to learn remotely, as well as small businesses and farmers and others. And so I'm very pleased. Our committee always, I think we're probably the most bipartisan committee in the Senate. So when I'm the ranking Democrat or chair, we work together very closely. But being in the position of chairing the committee means I can set the priorities of which I see Michigan. I see we focus on what our Michigan diversity of crops need, large and small, and all of the small towns across Michigan, like where I grew up in Clare, and all the needs that we have. So that as a backdrop, as of next week, I will resume that position that is positive for Michigan. And Justin, I wanted, in talking about the COVID package, to say that I was so pleased that SEDP was approved to be part of the PPP program. So I'm so glad we could make changes that would expand, and improve on the program going forward. So let me just say that when we look at broadly what's happening around COVID and so on, and obviously the good news is that we do have vaccines now. The challenge is being able to get them directly to people, that people actually get the vaccinations as quickly as possible. The complications of requiring 2 doses, 3 weeks apart, and all the logistics of that really has to be focused on in a much more robust way to make that happen, as well as the kind of testing that allows a business to do a simple test for employees when they need to be able to get folks back to work. So there's a lot that needs to be done around the issues related to COVID, both in terms of people's lives and livelihoods. And this is going to be the package that we pass in December should not be the last thing that we are focusing on. It was meant as a bridge, really, next into the new administration, into March, to be able to, keep at least some things going. Although there, in my judgment, there is a lot more that we need to do, as well as a stimulus program in terms of jobs. But we did pass, as you know, another round on the Paycheck Protection Program. It's set up in focus for small businesses with 300 or fewer employees. So 300 or fewer employees and at least 25% revenue loss. That's the qualifications for a second PPP loan, and what they're calling a second draw loan. So they began phasing this in yesterday, on Monday, and they're starting with underserved communities, and they began making the first draw loans, and second draw loans will be yesterday. Second time they do this will be Wednesday. They're going to be moving on forward to be able to get as many loans out as possible. There's at this point, I would caution, because I think the first couple of weeks now of the PPP reopening is probably going to be confusing for borrowers and lenders, because the lenders have had little time to see the new guidance that's been put out, and SBA is using a new computer system to process the loans. So I just say that we're cautious about this. Hopefully, there will not be that many glitches, but would certainly welcome any of your experiences on this so far. But we're monitoring this very closely. To help restaurants and hospitality businesses, the maximum loan amount was changed from 2.5 to 3.5 times the average monthly payroll, and the forgiveness application for loans of $150,000 or less has been really simplified. Also, I think important that the ordinary business expenses paid using the forgiven PPP loan dollars will be deductible as normal business expenses. This reverses an IRS guidance that disallowed the deduction, so that was changed. Additional money was put into what's called the EIDL loans, the economic disaster assistance loans for small businesses, and small businesses in low-income communities are eligible for grants up to $10,000. And the program ran out of money last time, because it was very, very, very popular to be able to help the small businesses to be able to continue. And so more dollars have been put in, and this round has been specifically targeted at businesses in low-income communities as defined by the New Markets Tax Credit. So so at this point, SBA hasn't issued updated guidance on this, on how they're going to be targeting these loan advances. And we have heard that it's going to open on the 17th, but SBA, January 17th, but they have not confirmed that at this point. Another important piece of this is grants for venue operators. I was in addition to the Restaurants Act and the Restart Act, I am a co-sponsor of the Save Our Stages Act that focuses on live entertainment venues, theaters, museums, and so on. And there are grants for up to 45% of 2019 revenue. That is capped at $10 million. And there are supplemental grants of 50% of the initial grant to pay specific kinds of expenses like payroll and rent and and utilities and PPE and so on. The rollout on this is also going to be phased in. First 2 weeks, only venues with 90% of a revenue loss. Then the next 2 weeks, venues with 70% revenue loss. And they're still working on, getting these, when the grants are going to be available. And I would just caution, it's a new program, so we're going to push to have this happen as fast as possible, but I would not be surprised if it takes some time to do that. So, which I know time is not our friend here by any stretch of the imagination. So, and let me just close, just open it up to questions that, we did unemployment updates to extend the folks who are self-employed, contract employees, gig workers, people who prior to COVID were not eligible for unemployment benefits. We have extended those for self-employed and other individuals, as well as extended for everyone unemployment an additional $300 a week to help folks be able to get through this and get to the other side. I think a really important piece of the unemployment insurance program that I know a lot of people are benefiting from in Michigan, a lot of businesses, and I don't know if anybody on the call is, but we're continuing the provisions that we put in the CARES Act that would ensure that the federal government picks up 100% of the state-based work share program, at least through the middle of March. Michigan's work share program allows businesses to retain their talent and avoid layoffs, by allowing employers to reduce worker hours, save on payroll costs, and then people can claim partial state unemployment benefits. Plus the extra $300. So the combination of bringing someone back on reduced hour or keeping someone on reduced hours, but they're being able to get partial unemployment, I know has been really important in Michigan for a number of employers, and I think is also part of the way to support businesses being able to keep people on as we transition and to keep people working. But obviously, we want people working, and so the provisions that support that program are also in there. And happy to talk about any others. I mean, there certainly are provisions that relate to food assistance, and we know families going through very, very tough times. The money for vaccine distribution, healthcare, for our hospitals, for other kinds of support, as well as for schools. There's additional dollars for schools to help our schools be able to safely reopen as well as our colleges and universities. So the vast majority of this is the unemployment and food assistance and other things run through March 14th. So this is very short term. The food assistance provisions that I was able to negotiate actually run through the end of June for folks. But this is very much a short-term bridge, and we're going to have to be back, right away, really looking at things. And I'm particularly concerned about giving the local governments and the states the dollars they need to get the vaccines distributed as fast as possible. So, we're going to get through this, but I think it's going to, this is still going to be tough. I think certainly for the first half of the year. So I'm happy to talk about whatever you would like to talk about at this point. And let me also mention Vernon Baker from Michigan, who's in DC as my senior tax and business counsel. I think Vernon's on the line as well. And we'll have all this information. We're getting it up on our website and so on. I know I ran through this really fast, and everybody has to look at how this impacts you. But between Spencer and Vernon, we certainly will help individually with anything that we can do to make sure you get the information, hopefully the help you need.
Great. Thank you, Senator. I'm actually going to kick it off here to the first thing you said. I want to say congratulations on reassuming the chair of the committee. And just to let you know, USDA Rural Development is a critical department for Shiawassee, both for businesses, for local governments. We've had township halls that have been built with financing, nonprofits, things like that. What are your plans on ensuring we've got continuing and maybe growing resources from USDA Rural Development?
Well, that's a top priority for me, Justin. And I also have to say that I'm really pleased that the former secretary, Tom Vilsack, who was secretary for 8 years, is returning in this role, which is really good news for us because there's no on-the-job training needed. And, this is somebody who really knows this job, really committed to rural development. And, we're going to have some, great folks on the ground here leading the Michigan rural development efforts to continue, what has been done. And the resources, part of them come through the 5-year farm bill that I've written the last couple of times, and part of it comes through annual appropriations. And so we really have, a foot in each camp here. And so it's part of this is a push every year on the annual appropriations to make sure that we have enough funds. But the loan authorities are all done through the farm bill. So, we're going to make sure we continue to have very robust loan authority. And the next farm bill actually has to be passed in 2023, which seems a long time away, but it's a big job to do that, actually, that 5-year project. So we'll be starting, we'll be starting on that, in not too distant future. And rural development will be a priority. Any ideas you have on ways we can make it more user-friendly, more flexible? I'm always looking for ways that we can streamline the bureaucracy, Lord knows. And so, we look forward to working with you.
That's great. And just so the listeners know, we actually have a new regional director in Michigan that covers Southeast Michigan and Shiawassee County. Her name is Cheryl Holm for USDA. And we are going to actually be putting on probably a webinar here in a few weeks so all of our listeners can learn more specifics on the USDA program. So that's good stuff. I do have another question, but I'm going to open it up to the floor. We have a lot of listeners on the call. If anyone has any questions for the senator, you're going to want to hit *6 on your phone, *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. Does anyone have anything for the senator? Oh, yep, I heard somebody. Go ahead.
Good morning, Justin. This is CJ Felton. How are you?
Good morning, CJ. Thank you for joining. Go ahead.
Good morning, Senator. My name is CJ Felton. I'm director. I'm CJ Felton. I'm director of real estate development for Community Housing Network. We're a Michigan-based nonprofit housing development and resource organization. We've encountered a challenge here on a redevelopment project right here in Owasso that we believe we could use some help from your office.
Sure.
Our organization entered into an agreement with the Owasso Public Schools to acquire the historic Owasso Middle School, which will be vacant at the end of this school year. And I know you've been to the Armory here. It is
right.
That great big beautiful school building
awesome.
Just to the north. Our plans call for 50 units of housing, with additional space for county community organizations and entrepreneurial businesses. And it's estimated to be about a $17 million project. Where we've run into difficulty is that building, a small portion of it is in the Shiawassee River floodway. And nothing can be done with that building unless we get the building removed from the floodway, either ourselves or anybody else. So we have applied to FEMA. We did that back in the summer, and there's been a lot of correspondence, and typically the correspondence that comes back is a form letter with no recognition of the plans that our engineer came up with to remove it from the floodway. So we kind of run into a brick wall here, and we really think we need some help from our friends in DC.
Happy to do it. This is the first time I'm aware that you're having a problem, and the wonderful work that's already been done. We certainly want to continue. And what I would suggest is that when we get off the phone today, that Spencer, who's on the line, that you connect with Spencer. Let's get all the details. We'll reach out to FEMA, figure out what's going on, and do everything we can to help resolve this. I mean, that's part of what we do. So happy to do it. Let's just make sure we got all the details and what they've said to you and what your plans are, and we're happy to really push forward and make sure you get every consideration, and hopefully we can resolve this.
I really appreciate that, and Justin has got my contact information. We'll connect with Spencer and get this moving. Great.
All right.
Very good. Thank you so much. Yep, and thank you, Senator, for being willing to help on that. Any other comments or questions for the Senator? If you do, please hit *6 on your phone, please. *6. Anyone have anything for the Senator? She only has a couple minutes left, so we'll just take one or two more if you have them. Anybody have anything? Well, I'm going to ask one. Oh, did I hear somebody?
Hello, Justin. Mark Falks, Prairie Township.
Mr. Supervisor, thanks for joining. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President. Listen, I just wanted to say hi to Debbie. Her and I on the United Way in Flint. I was engineer at the city of Flint for 29 years, and it's good to hear you, Debbie. It's good to hear you. And I just
good to hear your voice.
I'm doing good. Just a quick comment. How your safety up there last week? Everything good? I mean, were you fine?
Well, it was. Yes, I am safe.
Good.
Yeah, it was pretty frightening and pretty heartbreaking what happened.
Yes,
and so we've got a lot of work to do here to address this. But I appreciate that, and
I'm glad. Okay.
You
sound good. You sound great. So keep up the good work, Debbie.
Thank you so much.
And actually, it's kind of ironic, Mark. Thank you for jumping on, because my one other question for the Senator actually is related directly to you, Mark. Senator, in the first CARES package, there was an appropriation to the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration to support economic development projects. It allowed the grant availability to go from a 50% grant to an 80% grant. As a result of that, we have actually worked with Mark and folks in the Perry area to put together an application to do a pretty robust water infrastructure improvement that would support significant business growth in the Perry area. The issue we've run into, there was so much demand, as you might imagine, that the 80% mark has run out. So we would love, if it's possible, I don't think it's in this package, but a future package, those dollars back in EDA, that would be very helpful for us.
Well, we definitely want to work with you on that. We should look. I don't know enough about the details on the project, but at the end of the year, we also passed what we dubbed. It's called WRDA, Water Resources Development Act, which is basically a whole range of resources related to water projects. And I would wonder if there's anything in there. Spencer, we should check and, talk to, and Vernon, talk to folks. I have no idea. I don't know if there would be anything in there as well, but it's worth looking at this point, because we do a surface transportation bill, and then we do a water, resources bill. The water bill got done at the end of the year, and I don't know, there might be something there. Let's
Great.
look.
Thank you. We will coordinate with Spencer on that. Senator, I know your time is running very short here. Does anyone have any last minute question for the senator? If you do, hit *6 on your phone. Anyone have any last minute question? Oh, I hear somebody. Okay, I think not. So, Senator, thank you again. Always appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. Very informational. We will follow up with Spencer on the issues that were brought up today, and certainly thank you for all you're doing for us in Washington. So stay safe and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait until we can meet in person.
Yes.
Yes. We're looking for that day. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Senator. Take care. Okay. Real quick, a couple of other updates wanted to share before we jump off here. The story this week so far, as you might imagine, has been questions over vaccine availability. I did send out an email yesterday from Memorial Healthcare. I also sent out something from the health department last week. Long story short, the vaccines are not in yet, essentially, but we are encouraging, if you've not done so already, to please take this survey that was sent to you last week. It said Shiawassee County Health Department vaccine survey, I think was the title. That is what is going to be used to contact individuals and organizations when it's ready. So many of you have done it already. I heard yesterday from the health department director, Larry Johnson, that they've had close to 200 organizations in Shiawassee that have filled that out. Representing several thousand people. So we're getting a good response. But if you or anyone on your team would like access to the vaccine, that is the best way to go about doing it. But unfortunately, as we sit here today on Tuesday morning, that availability is not there yet. So please stay in touch. We'll absolutely communicate that information to you as we get it. Either from our health department or our friends at Memorial Health. And then the last thing I wanted to mention today, we should get more guidance in the next day or two on the new small business grant from the state. So the senator obviously covered federal updates, but we want to make sure you're in the loop on state money. That is a new grant program. This will be, I think, the 4th or 5th round of small business funding up to, I think, $15,000 or $20,000. I do believe it will be focused mainly on the businesses that have been affected by the recent orders that came down in November. So not necessarily everybody that's been affected by COVID, but the orders that have come down since November. So restaurants, fitness centers, things of that nature. So we will, as an organization, SEDP, be taking a leadership role again and reviewing all that information. I don't know if, speaking about state updates, usually our liaison from Governor Whitmer's office is on the call, Gary Jones. Gary, I don't know if you are on, if you have any updates for anybody. If you do, please feel free to jump on.
Yeah, Justin. Good morning. Got a couple of things here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of the vaccine, the governor actually recently requested authorization to directly purchase up to 100,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine for the state of Michigan. So she wrote a letter to Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar requesting permission to directly purchase up to 100,000 doses of the COVID vaccine for the state. She also noted that since she and 8 other governors sent a letter to the president's administration requesting that they distribute the millions of safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine doses that are currently being held back, we still have not received a response from that request. The governor also, this went out like last week, but the governor will also be delivering the third State of the State address January 27th. So just heads up to everyone there. It will be aired Wednesday, January 27th at 7 o'clock. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the State of the State address will be held virtually in compliance with the CDC and state of Michigan's best practices. And also lastly, MDHHS guidance has recently encouraged schools to safely offer in-person instruction that Michigan's children, frankly, need to succeed. So the goal is for all Michigan school districts to offer in-person learning options March 1st or sooner. MDHHS recently announced this new guidance for schools to keep students, staff, and community safe during the COVID-19 pandemic, while also providing the in-person instruction that is crucial to learning and development. And I'll just remind everyone on the call, michigan.gov/COVID vaccine, is the best website for anything pertaining to the coronavirus vaccine. And once again, that's michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. And michigan.gov/coronavirus is the best catch-all website for all updates related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Great. Thank you, Gary. And I did pass along your cell phone to our health department director, Larry Johnson. I think it'd be good for you guys to connect at some point soon.
Yeah, we connected yesterday, Justin. Thank you.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you, Gary. That's good. Excellent. I think that's all the big stuff I have right now. Obviously, we want to focus on the senator. Anybody have any comments or questions that were not brought up today for me or for Gary or anything else? Okay, well, once again, everyone, thank you for joining. A lot of information, and we'll keep sending more out to you. In the meantime, if anything comes up you need help with, give us a holler, and hope you all have a good Tuesday. Thanks.